So one of the most important things to think about in poly modeling are the edge loops. Now, you won't always have perfect edge loops the way we have here that go around like this. Once you start modeling faces and things like that, you still have edge loops, but they don't necessarily go around in the way you expect. But being able to just double click, get the whole thing, this is very, very important. First of all, it shows that we have everything kind of set up properly, because the only place this doesn't work is if we look here, it doesn't do this here because this is the same polygon, right? So each time the edge loop goes to the next edge, it's supposed to be at a new polygon. This is the same one, so it says, oh, this is not an edge. It's okay when it's at the top like this and at the bottom, but for the most part, if this wasn't working, then we would know that there was hidden faces or five-sided poly somewhere. It would kind of tell us there was something wrong. And we also can move these edge loops. So one of the things you can do with modeling is simply select an edge loop and then move this down or move it back up. I can decide I need this to be over here and I need another one to be somewhere else. There's a lot of options. You can also double click on a move tool and tell it, instead of transform constraints off, you can tell it the, let's say surface. Let do what I want. Yeah, so it's sliding along the surface that exists rather than changing the surface. I think edge in this case, in this particular instance, will do the same thing. Yep. So if I double click, let's get for a more obvious one. So actually that's not going to work because that's the one that's defining that shape. So what I can do is I'm going to insert an edge loop to show you what these tricks look like. So I'm going to move that tool back down to where it's supposed to be. The insert edge loop tool is the most useful thing that does not exist in your modeling toolkit. I will never understand why they didn't include it here. You can drag it down to a custom shelf if you would like. But it exists up in Mesh Tools, so it's over here, Insert Edge Loop Tool. And the way this works is you click, if you want it to go horizontal like this, I need to click on an edge that already exists going the opposite direction. So if I click here, it puts one there. Now I'm going to hit undo for a second, because I'm actually going to click and hold and then drag. And if you do that, it gives you a dotted line that shows you this is where it will go. Is this where you want to let go? And then you say yes. And when you let go, then it actually places it, right? So you can kind of slide along the already existing surface and place one where you need it, right? So I can add definition almost anywhere. Let's say I decide I want to handle this differently. I would bring in a couple edge loops there and there, right? It's a very important tool to have and to understand. Now, when you're done adding edge loops, please make sure you go back to another tool, because this is a tool the same as these over here are tools, and if you don't change away, you will accidentally start adding edge loops all over the place, and we don't want to do that. We don't want too much resolution, so we make sure we go back to our move tool or our select tool, whichever. Alright, so to show you what I meant about sliding along a surface, this edge loop exists halfway between this one and this one. And right now, if I just move it like normal, see how it affects the surface, because it's staying the same size. But what if I want to slide it along the surface? Well, I double clicked here to get my move tool options. And if I constrain it to the edge or to the surface, it will do this. So I can put the resolution I need here or here without changing the shape. Now you may want to change the shape, in which case don't turn this on. And then you can, select this, or you can, scale it. Scaling edge loops is very, very common, like super common. And it's how I would change some of this. So I have one edge loop that's in here because I was maybe going to pinch it in at the center, but I've decided I don't want to do that. And so if I want to get rid of an edge loop, do not hit delete. If you hit delete, it'll look like it's great, and then see how this doesn't go down all the way? It got rid of the edge, but not the vertex. Now, yes, you can select all of those and hit delete, but no, that is not how we do this. There is edge, there we go. You select the edge loop and then you go to Edit Mesh, Delete Edge Vertex. That is how, or Control Delete. That is how you properly get rid of those. And now I can use these edge loops to reshape this. And you scale it. There's about a million different ways to change a model, but one of them is simply to scale edge loops. So I scale the both of them, and so now this is, thinner. Doesn't make it look like the other hammers. It makes it look quite different from the other hammers, but I'm just showing you examples of how you can reshape things. And if this doesn't need to change from here to here, then I probably don't need any edge loops in the middle. I would only put an edge loop in there if I needed to expand it or contract it, if I needed to change how that looked. All right, so we want to be thinking about edge loops all the time, and normally we're scaling them. If you're selecting an entire edge loop, if you're working in edge mode, you're probably scaling entire edge loops. That's very different from what I will show you later for reshaping the bottom, which is moving vertexes, right? So if I select an entire edge loop, I'm probably not doing this. I'm definitely not rotating. But you scale. And that's just, it comes with a little bit of practice knowing which thing you're going to do. Generally speaking, if you're in edge mode, you will be scaling the edge loops in order to reshape what you have. That's what happened. Let me turn that off. Or wait, no. Did I turn this? Yes. I want to make sure that my tool is reset. If you don't remember what you changed, you can hit Reset Tool, and it will bring the tool back to its default settings. But if we look at the fact that this one, object mode, is different than this one, that's because of the different scaling I did with the edge loops. I did also start at the bottom differently, but it was very much a matter of just scaling the edge loops differently. I wanted, this one's a lot thinner in the middle, and it's also, I made this one thinner at the neck. This one's bigger at the neck. So all that is scaling edge loops. 90% of what I did with these two models was scaling edge loops.